Hi everyone. I did a video earlier. I got a little bit of pushback from people on about the Iraqi Prime Minister saying that Soleimani had been killed whilst on a peace mission to broker peace between some sort of peace deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And that's when obviously, he was killed, and it was at the behest of Donald Trump. Donald Trump obviously brokered the meeting according to the Iraqi PM and hit him whilst he was going to that meeting. Obviously, something else that wasn't actually talked about on that video, I didn't even mention it, I forgot to mention it, was, there was Iraqi forces that were killed in that strike as well, allegedly, or apparently. So, this was obviously something that was an extreme measure that the Americans and Trump have done now. I got some pushback on it, and the pushback I got was from people saying, oh, well, this guy had attacked the embassy. He was the mastermind behind it. It's like, wait, no, this is what they do to propagandize you. They just put this out there and they say, no, if you want to go, whose fault was it? Because this was an escalation, remember, of the Americans hitting some camps in Iraq. And that was apparently an escalation of the contractor being killed, the American contractor, who we still don't know who he was or what his name was or anything like that. If you want to keep doing that and go, oh, well, that was a retaliation for this and tit for tat, you're going to go all the way back to 1953. And there you will find out, as I did in a video, it was America that threw the first punch in this. When I say through the first punch, I mean overthrew a democratically elected government to install a dictator that ruled with an iron fist for 26 years until the Iranian Revolution in 1979. That's where this story begins. It wasn't with Soleimani masterminding some attack on the embassy. It wasn't with also the Trump hitting camps and that. It goes back to 1953. Okay? You have to look at it in this context. Why? Because I guarantee you that's the way that huge crowd in Iran were looking at this. Okay? Now I'm going to show you how they propagandize you in the media. This is Afshin Rattanzi. Here's CNN not long ago celebrating Soleimani for his defeat of ISIS. I'll let this play out. Oops.
Battlefield wins, then this man, Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, the leader of Iran's elite special operations Quds Force, when Iraqi troops pushed back Islamic State militants in the key town of Jerf al-Sakhr late last month. Iranian state media and Iraqi news websites suggested Soleimani masterminded the victory. As military advisor, Soleimani is also credited with leading Shia militias and Iraqi troops in key wins against Islamic State forces, advancing on villages surrounding the capital, Baghdad. The Islamic State terrorists sought to surround Baghdad, but they failed in reaching their ominous goals thanks to Iran's support, said senior Iranian military.
So obviously that's some years ago. That's some time ago now. But you can see there, that was CNN celebrating Soleimani. Now, as my viewers will know and my subscribers will know, I've done extensive research on Iran. Extensive. Look at how many videos I've done just in the short time I've had my little channel. I've done extensive work on this. And I can tell you right now that what you're being told in the media is untrue. What they are concentrating on over and over and over again is untrue. Do you think CNN are making a point of that in every report that they do? Do you think that CNN are making a point that with Soleimani, he was actually a threat to ISIS and Al-Qaeda? Well, here is one article I found that they have done. Analysis. It's important to remember the role Soleimani played in the fight against ISIS. This is CNN, but it's one article. That's all I can see. That is all I can see. Honestly, I've only looked for about 10 minutes, but that's all I can find after about 10 minutes. However, if I go to their channel, I've got hours of footage of Pompeo out there saying, no, this guy was the world's worst terrorist. I've got Mike Pence. He's all over the internet at the moment saying this guy was linked to 9/11. Do you see how the propaganda works here? Now, you've got to understand the history with Iran and America. You have to understand it. And you have to especially understand the 1980s, as I covered in my video, the history of the Iran versus America. Let's remember, the Americans armed Saddam in his invasion of Iran, but because Saddam was overseeing a minority Sunni government, Shias are the majority in Iraq and Iran, they were worried that one side would win the war, and obviously if Saddam fell, then Iran would overrun Iraq, and they don't want that at all. They don't want Iraq under the control of Iran. They're both Shia countries. That makes them even more powerful. So what did they do? They were worried about Russia in the north, or Soviet Union as it was then in the north, invading from the north as well. So they armed both sides, and that was the Iran-Contra scandal in the 1980s. America have a history of doing this and lying to you, and their media going along with it. So I want to also make this point as well. If Soleimani, from all I can tell, he was this fighter who took out lots of ISIS and Al-Qaeda people. There were multiple reports, including in Western media, as I've just showed you, that he was badass when it comes to ISIS and Al-Qaeda. So from what I know, in that region, in Iraq, in the Middle East right now, the people in Iraq and the Middle East who were celebrating the death of Soleimani are ISIS and Al-Qaeda. If they're the people celebrating, and if ISIS and Al-Qaeda are the ones who are celebrating, and we have, as the Iraqi Prime Minister has alleged, I say we, the American government, I don't mean me and you, I mean the psychopaths that we give power to, if they have took him out and assassinated him while he's on a peace mission, and ISIS and Al-Qaeda are the ones cheering it on, what does that make us? Doesn't that make us the bad guys? Especially if you look at the history, the very recent history. You only have to go back to the 1980s. That's my lifetime. To see how they lie and play both sides of the conflict here. They want war with Iran. They don't want peace. They want war. And they want you to pay for it after they have propagandized you into thinking that this guy was an absolute monster. He could have been, for all I know. But he was killing ISIS and Al-Qaeda. I also want to say this to the people who have pushed back at me for my coverage of this. I want to give you a quote from Julian Assange. If wars can be started with lies, peace can be started with the truth. That's all I'm trying to give you. The truth. I think that's what we need right now if we're going to solve the mess that we're in and have any chance of going forward in anything close to a humane society. Thanks very much for watching. Please make sure you're subscribed and click the bell below so you get a notification of when I drop further videos, and please support independent media. We can't do it without your help, and all we're trying to do is bring you the truth, and it's treason. It really is. At this moment, the truth is treason, it seems. Thanks very much for watching. Speak to you soon.